Welcome to the show. My name is Trisha Ayers and I'll be your host. Welcome to Senior Happenings. My first guest, we're going to be talking about pre-arrangements of funerals. So, Christie Page, thank you for being here on the show. From Dignity Memorial.
Thank you for having me.
Christie, such an important topic and something that not too many people want to get into. What is the importance of doing pre-arrangements?
Well, the real importance is it takes so much stress off of the family, not only financially, but emotionally. That's really the key.
And how do you start that pre-arrangement process? What are the conversations that go on?
A lot of times you'll decide where you would like to be remembered, or what funeral home you'd like to use. You would want to know if you're going to be cremated, you're going to be traditionally buried, and those are the firsts. And then when you come to see us, the first thing would be the personal planning guide that we have, where you're able to document all of your wishes, and that just, again, removes so much of the burden of remembering.
How did you get into this?
Well, it was quite a gift, and a friend of mine knew that we were moving to this area and just asked if I'd like to do what she did, and it turns out that it's really a passion of mine because I'm helping people. I know what it's going to do for you way down the road because I was the recipient of this most compassionate gift. My in-laws did that for us, and we didn't have to decide if we thought they wanted to be cremated or traditionally buried. They had it all completely paid for and completely laid out.
Because that's the thing also, you know, when somebody passes, it's a very emotional time, yes. And you can make very emotional decisions and not always what that person would have wanted.
Yes,
for their funeral.
Exactly. Pre-arrangement takes the guesswork out and also just allows you to be remembered exactly as you wish.
So how much can you pre-arrange? To what lengths can you decide what you want to happen?
You can really, the entire amount of from beginning all the way through. So coming to see us and deciding if it's going to be traditional or cremation, I'm able to help you freeze those costs. And then also you can go all the way to, if you're traditionally buried, choosing the plot, choosing literally paying for every single detail before time. And another gift to the family is that it can freeze the cost. So no matter how many years down the road that it's our time to go, our families don't pay any more than what you froze today.
Wow, what a great decision to make.
Yes.
Great decision, and you get to participate in that, making those decisions.
Yes.
You're not asking somebody else to make that at the end.
Exactly.
So what are some of the most interesting decisions that people have made in your planning? Any unusual ones that you were kind of like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that?
Wow. Well, there are so many ways and so flexible on the cremation. So we've had families say that they were going to be scattered. They were going to just keep the cremated remains with them until maybe their spouse died, and
right.
Then they were going to be laid to rest together. So there's all different kinds of ways to do that.
My father was cremated in this country, and then my mom traveled back to England. And I do not think, I think that was 7 years ago, that she has not decided yet. I think Dad is in an urn, and when she's picked somewhere, that's where they're going to be laid to rest. So people do make those decisions in their own time frame.
Exactly, yes.
So what's the process of seeking you out? Does it need to be in person? Can people do it over the phone? Can they get the whole family involved? What's the process there?
It can be any of those.
Okay.
But calling me directly is a great thing because we're able to just meet in person. We're able to do it over the phone, but it's always, I think, more personal when we're able to do that together, face to face. So the personal planning guide that I have, it's a complimentary guide, and you're able to, again, document all of those wishes for the, if there's a minister's eulogy, the death certificate information, all of those things that on a good day you know, but on a sad day, they just seem to evaporate.
Right, absolutely. So paperwork to do with somebody passing, do you take care of all of that? I mean, like you're saying, some people want to have ashes scattered. Do they have to go through any lengths to get paperwork to scatter those ashes? Can people just go out and scatter ashes, or?
They sure can. And from
Wow.
the time of passing all the way through to the final disposition, our funeral directors take care of all of those details.
Okay.
So from the initial contact with Social Security, they order the death certificates, all of the items that would take thought away from your family time.
Right.
We want to hold your hand and just really make it as smooth as is humanly possible.
Absolutely. Now, if somebody is a veteran, are there extra steps that can be involved in that? I mean, color guards, those kind of things. Do you help with those?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We take care of all of that, getting all the logistics of getting that ordered for the military honors.
Right.
We offer a discount to the family for the spouse and the veteran. So we have a lot of great resources on that, on the National Cemetery and how to best the DD 214. That's the magic card to get into
Okay.
the National Cemetery, and the spouse has the same benefits as the veteran.
Wow.
So we've got all of that. I've got a personal planning guide for the veteran as well.
Wow.
So I would love to share that.
So anybody thinking of prearranging, they can get all that information now and know what's going to happen.
Yes, and we have 2 locations here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yes.
So we have Rollins Funeral Home
Okay.
in Rogers, and then we have Callis and Lowe Funeral Home in Bentonville. So we're part of Dignity Memorial, which is the largest funeral provider in North America.
Yes.
So we have over 2,000 locations, which means that if you up and move to Texas, this plan would go with you, so that to our nearest sister location.
Right.
So they would honor our prices, and it would take, again, a lot of the stress off of having to start over once you moved elsewhere. So I'm able to help get all of that into place. We put this into safe and sound into an insurance policy. Since 1984, Good Funeral Homes have done that so that your money is safe and sound. And if we burn to the ground, your
Right.
money's not there in the paint and the wallpaper.
Wow.
So that's also another huge benefit.
Absolutely, because people don't always stay in the same state. And to know that can travel with you, those arrangements.
Exactly. And we plan for every other thing. We plan for retirement. We plan for weddings, vacations,
Right.
all the things. But like we were talking earlier, this is inevitable, and it just makes so much sense to go ahead and get this off the to-do list.
Right.
I've had families come in and they were very leery of talking about this, but as they left, they said, that wasn't near as hard as I
Right.
thought it was going to be. It's actually a much more simple process than I anticipated.
It does not bring on the end by talking about it.
It does not. It does not. It's just a very wise decision to get this off of your family's to-do list at the time.
Absolutely, because I think, I have 3 children. Each one of them would probably say, well, Mom would want this. No, Mom would want that. I would hate to cause that kind of turmoil for them at that time, but to get it prearranged where I can pick the music and pick what's going to happen and the flowers and how I want to be laid to rest.
Exactly.
That's just a huge thing. And to lock in a price, too. That's also very
Exactly.
encouraging.
Exactly.
Now, over the years, have you seen a difference in the amount of burials to cremations? Have we shifted a little bit?
We have.
Okay.
We have. And I believe the percentage is somewhere up in the 60% now for cremation. And I've heard that's because we're more of a transient
Right.
society now, and it's so much more flexible. Back in the day, it was so much more traditional burial, and we knew right where our family was going to be. We knew we were going to go to the cemetery and
Yes.
have a day to clean up and to remember and place flowers and all of that. And it kind of just seems like it's a different time
Right.
now. So
Now, I know you work for a specific organization, but for folks out there, when they're looking to do prearrangements, if they're not doing prearrangements with you, what are some of the things that they need to look to when they go to a particular funeral home? What are some of the key questions that they should ask?
I think it all boils down to your trust in the organization where you are. If it is, you need to feel comfortable with where you are, because that is such a vulnerable time when you lose a loved one, and it is just so important that you're comfortable with the folks you're dealing with, that it's a reputable place, that you just, all of the things that you would check on anything that you're going to make a large investment in, and just to make sure that that trust is there and that you are comfortable.
Now, can you prearrange for the whole family? I mean, we like to think that we're all going to live to our 90s and 100s and that we're going to pass gently, but people of younger age do pass also. Is there family planning that can go on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe the youngest person I have prearranged was 39.
Okay.
And when I asked why, he said, my dad passed and I don't want my family to have to worry about this. So he certainly, anywhere from your 30s on into, a lot of the families I take help with are probably in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, when you're really beginning to put a lot of your end of life things in order.
Right.
So it's really, there's no age that is too young, because also it just freezes that cost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the first steps, making a call, coming to see you, or calling you, and you will go through everything. What are the first conversations that you have with people when you get them?
Basically what lane they want to go down.
Right.
And if they want to pay it all at once, if they want to have time pay, if they want to pay it out over time, that is also, it's very flexible. So we're able to just get them in the right lane, if it's cremation or traditional burial.
Right.
Do they want to pay all at once? Do they want to go on time pay? We also have something with one of our largest benefits, I think, other than the national plan transferability, is the child and grandchild coverage. And God forbid that we ever lose one of our children or grandchildren under the age of 21 and unmarried. The same amount of money that one would obtain in an actual package for themselves, that same amount would go towards that child's funeral at no charge to the family and no change to one's own plan. So it's something that we hope to heaven not to touch our families, but is just an amazing benefit of being one of ours.
Right. Well, it's not emotionally, but it's along those lines of, we get homeowners insurance hoping never to have to use it, but we are certainly glad that it's in place if we do.
Absolutely.
So very special field. Not everybody could do that. What do you think? We were talking earlier that people are just so hesitant to make plans for our last wishes, and it's so important. And how do we keep making those conversations and those educational conversations about this is so important financially, which is usually a big draw for people being able to log it in, but also you get to decide what you want. It's just, what do you do? A lot of speaking events? Where do you go to get the word out?
We do. We have some of the senior expos that you do. We are there also. We will come. A lot of churches have had us. When there's maybe a senior potluck, we'll be the special speaker, and just keep it kind of light and airy and not morbid, because a lot of families, we're not crazy about talking about our own mortality, and we all understand that, but it's just a very important decision for your family not to have to, at the end of time, just start picking up the phone and thinking, oh gosh, who do we call? Where do we start?
Right.
So when you're prearranged, it just is so much smoother of a process. And so we will do that at a church. We will come to any event that we're invited to and just give a quick presentation, kind of just some statistics and just some benefits of prearranging.
Great. So Christie, if people are ready to sit down with you right now, how do they get in touch with you?
My cell number would be the best.
Okay.
So it's 479-957-0102. and that takes you straight to me or our funeral homes, Rollins Funeral Home and Calicidlow Funeral Home.
Perfect. I urge people to get some prearrangement done right now. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment, and I'll be talking to Cherie Clark with Purview Life. Well, welcome back to the show, and my next guest is Cherie Clark with Purview Life. Cherie, welcome.
Good morning.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's been a while since you've been sitting in this seat.
It has.
It has been a while. Purview Life,
Yes,
life care management.
it is kind of a new resource and a new concept for not only Bella Vista, but all of Northwest Arkansas. We are based out of Tulsa, where we've been doing aging life care management for almost 17 years.
Wow.
So not a new concept to us, and not a new concept nationwide. We're also part of a national association that oversees aging life care professionals and aging life care companies nationwide. So the concept is not brand new, but it is kind of new to our local area.
Yes, yes. And the concept is what?
The concept is essentially being able to retain our services and work directly with a registered nurse or a licensed social worker that is your primary care manager. That means she can do everything from a specialized care plan, any kind of assessment, could be mental, mini mental, could be a home safety assessment. She can help with care navigation. She can help with resources. She can help with conversations on when it is time to transition to a different level of care or how it could be possible to age in place at home, all the way up to also being able to serve as a medical POA and help with those decisions, whether that is primary or secondary. So you can still name a family member or a friend in that role, but still have the support of a nurse as a care manager. And then we can also serve as legal guardians. And we can help with those conversations on when it's time to enact that. So a good analogy that some folks have used is like having a general contractor for your life. When you go to have a building project or you're aging in place, or maybe you're an adult with special needs and disabilities, having somebody oversee that individual as a whole is a great resource, even if it's just support services and a sounding board, but all the way up to those legal roles as well. We can do all of that.
It's an amazing piece of the puzzle. It really is. And I know you have been here for, well, not you personally, you've been here for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But Purview Life in our area, 3 years, you're celebrating 3 years?
We will be 3 years old at the end of March.
And I know it's been gaining momentum because people are kind of like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But getting the word out, like anything, it's just, and especially the POA and the guardianship. I know in our office, you guys are part of the POA process for some of our clients.
Yeah.
And especially guardianship, that just is so incredible to take that on.
They're big, important conversations to have that are hard to have and hard to navigate. Not only who do we name in that role, or how do we even navigate that process, but when is it time to enact that? You don't want to take on too much than you need to, but you don't want to not do too little either. So again, even just having a one-time consult face-to-face with a care manager can kind of help resolve some of that.
And I know the website is incredible. It has lots of kind of scenarios, what happens in this situation, or this, we help these clients, because you help families. It's not just, I don't want people to think that it's people who are just on their own. It's not. There's usually a family unit, maybe out of state, or just doesn't have the capacity, because sometimes families are not the best.
Well, I appreciate that you said that. I mean, whether they are local or far, there's still challenges that come up, and then there's emotional decisions that are being made as well. So one of the primary jobs of a care manager is managing emotions and expectations, and that can be directly to the client, because maybe we are talking about a transition in care, maybe we're talking about hard realities, taking away the car keys, maybe we've had a certain diagnosis that we have to take on now. whether they're alone or they have the support of a family system, it's a lot. I've always learned through my career when you get into those conversations or those situations, we all know aging or caring for ourselves like a dripping faucet in the background. We know what's going on, but no big deal. And then when we find ourselves with a diagnosis, a change, anything like that, now it's like we're standing in front of a fire hydrant. And who's the professional that can come in and kind of ease that flow and say, whether it's managing emotions or expectations or having the hard conversations, be able to come in, be almost the umbrella over the whole situation and say, this is what's appropriate at this time in our professional expert opinion from a very unbiased standpoint. Here's how we best would proceed. Because again, we're coming as healthcare professionals with a lot of experience, nurses, social workers that have run into all kinds of situations. So any family or individual that would come to us with a diagnosis or a problem or even a family issue, we can mitigate that. Whether we need to kind of put the adult child in a more reasonable place and advocate for the senior adult, or maybe the senior adult is in denial and the family is exhausted, but especially any individual that doesn't have a local support system or doesn't have a support system at all, a care manager is your best bet.
It's a great buffer. It is a great buffer.
Really, that's a perfect way to put it.
Because we do see in all of our professions that when the family has to make decisions sometimes, it's not the best.
They can be emotional. There's a lot of emotions. And not that we're not emotionally tied to our clients, but we don't have the same emotional ties. We can still come from a very objective place that says, all right, in the best interest of your level of care or your current diagnosis or just even your current situation, here's a plan of action that we can recommend. That can be anything from retaining our services ongoing to having us serve in a certain role like a medical POA to even just having a one-time consult where we come in and we can give some information and then we can take a step back and the family can go forward.
So do you ever do consults and then there's quite a time period before your services kick in?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
How smart for people to do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm working with a lady just this week that we did a high-level consultation with her because she was just starting the process of her estate planning. She is single, no spouse, no children. She's taken on this project all by herself, has family, they're way out in California. She's right here in Springdale, Arkansas, right in our area. And she simply consulted with us just to see what we were about. And then everything kind of went quiet. And then when she really said, okay, I feel prepared to take on this project, we were one of her next phone calls, coordinating with her attorney, coordinating with her trust officer. That way, when we enact in that role as her medical POA, everyone already is familiar with us. We're familiar with them. We can start services right away when we're enacted. If not, we've all gotten to know each other. She's gotten her affairs in order. She's taken on the project, and now we're right there in her back pocket if and whenever we're needed.
Perfect client. The perfect client.
Oh, yes. I love those. Yeah.
Those are few and far between, though, and sometimes, people are in that crisis moment.
A lot of times, yeah. And we can help with that as well. That's why I love that we have that one-time consult all the way to retaining our services, even if they were for a limited time period. We have a service agreement between, ourselves and the client that we work with, but it's not a contract of any length of time. We have an hourly rate. We are a fee-for-service resource, but we have an hourly fee, but we also bill in 6-minute increments. So we sit down with families all the time that are like, this is our crisis mode.
Right.
And we need you for the next 60 days. And we may need you a lot or we may need you little. That's fine. It's all flexible on exactly, what the task at hand or what the situation may be.
Right.
So folks that come to us that say we've got to keep this affordable or we got to work on a budget, that is doable. Anytime that, resources aren't an issue, but we just need to dive in, problem solve, kind of get everything calmed down and organized, we can do that too. All the way, again, not to repeat myself, but even just a one-time consult, even if you just need a one-time conversation on where do we even begin, what are we even looking at, how do we deal with this? There's a huge range of how to use a care manager.
Sure. And knowing the ladies here in Northwest Arkansas and some of the ladies in Tulsa, you're definitely a very, let's pull up our sleeves and do what needs to be done. There's no set path.
It's really case by case, because again, we're working with individuals and we're working with their individual circumstances. And we serve anyone that is 18 years or older. We can take on an 18-year-old, we can take on someone who's 108. So, and you're gonna have adults with special needs and disabilities, you're gonna have folks aging in place. We get calls all the time from adult children that may be dealing with both scenarios on either side or one of the other. And so, we can really work with anyone, just whatever they need to navigate and do.
Right. Now, with the guardianship cases, where is there one path that they generally find Purview life, or do they come from multiple streams? Where do your guardianships come from? The courts?
Great question. We've gotten guardianships, everything, from the actual attorney representing the person that says, okay, this is going to be appropriate and I need somebody to serve in this role, all the way to the family contacting us as well, going, we're getting advice and we think this is the direction we need to go in, but that is not a role we're able to serve in. And then there's a couple different ways to go about that as well. When you talk about a guardianship, sometimes it may be appropriate for a family member or an individual tied to the situation that can serve in that role, but maybe they're not local or they don't have the capacity to be really hands-on with the things that need to be done. And so then we can serve as an agent to the guardian. So we can be retained even just to assist and be named in all of that legal paperwork, which still means we can make phone calls, we can get access to things, we can get around HIPAA, we can do whatever that is needed, even though the guardianship's being held, by another individual. So there's a couple different ways to go about it, and even just community-wide, we really try to put ourselves out there in a branding aspect, just so folks know that this is a resource and a concept they can utilize, and what we do here locally. But then we spend a lot of our time trying to connect with professionals that are already having these conversations with their clients, whether that be an attorney, a financial advisor, a trust officer, or maybe they're having conversations with their client or resident. So that's home care, home health, any assisted living or retirement communities, even nursing homes. We get calls all the time that says, I've had a resident for years and their family doesn't come around a lot. And we've noticed through the cracks, they don't even have someone named as medical POA. I mean, they're already in a facility with full-time care. But who is there to locally represent them, attend care plan meetings? So we get our referrals from a lot of different places, no matter what the specific services are.
Right. So why do you think it's taken so long to get a Purview life in Northwest Arkansas?
Well, targeted case management or aging life care management has been a concept for many, many years, but it's been very popular on the East and West Coast, more populated retirement states, Arizona, Florida. It naturally takes time for any resource or concept to kind of reach the middle of the country. But thanks to baby boomers, thanks to the senior tsunami, whatever you want to name it, where, again, we've got sandwich generations, we've got adult children caring for aging parents while also caring for younger at the same time, trying to do their estate planning and things. It's finally been a concept to come to the middle of the country here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Cherie, if people want you to come and speak to their groups, you're so open to do that.
Absolutely. We would love that opportunity.
Okay, and how do people get in touch with you?
Our local phone number, which rings right to me, is 479-579-8723. www.purviewlife.com is our website. We're also on Facebook, and we're located here right locally in Bentonville.
And right before we get out of here, please tell us, not your other job, but your other passion.
My weird hobby?
Yes.
I am a certified storm spotter and have been through the National Weather Service for about a decade. I've been a weather nerd since I was a little girl, and a lot like challenges I find in our community when it comes to aging and care. I do the same with weather. I want to figure it out. I want to be proactive. I want to educate people about it, and that's my weird little
Thank you for
hobby.
doing that, because we always check in with you when we have weather coming. We appreciate that.
The designated weather
I
nerd.
love
I'm
it.
okay
Thank
with
you.
that.
So Cherie, Purview Life,
Yep.
an amazing, amazing service. We need more people to contact Cherie and find out about this service. We use it a lot in our office, and so just call Cherie. So thank you so much for being with us today, Cherie.
Thank
and
you.
I will see you out on the networking trail.
Yes.
And we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.